cannot see. Your eyes, I'm hypnotized and wise to the games you're playing with me. The lies you tell, see if he knows the deal, but it's irrelevant tonight. Cause boy, you're so fly, come on and swing back, and baby, we can set it off. Shawty, swing my way, sure look good to me. Now would you please swing my way? Shawty, swing my way, shawty, swing my way. Sure look good to me. Now would you please swing my way? Shawty, swing my way.
All right, y'all, January is officially done. We are into 2023. I cannot believe how fast time is moving. I swear, just yesterday I was saying goodbye to 2022. But today we are wrapping up what I read in January, as well as giving you guys a little peek into what I expect to be reading in February, aka Black History Month. So let's get into it. I actually didn't read that much this month. I mean, I did read a lot this month. It's just a lot of what I read. The content got posted onto my channel. So I'll link my full reviews below. And I know for my last wrap up, I didn't mention the books that I already done a review of. But in today's video, I will, just, you know, so you guys get an idea. So for the total for January, I've read 8 books, which is putting me well past my goal. I said I would read 3 books in the month, and I read pretty much more than double that. So I read 8 books this month. What really pushed me over my goal was the video I did on Black indie romances, where I read 5 indie romances and 5 popular Black indie romances and discussed how I felt about them. And in those 5 romances I read, the first one was Restore Me, and that was by J.L. Seegars. And that was actually a really popular book last year and still popular now. I think it came out in 2021, but it got a lot of buzz last year. And I read that one part in my Black indie romance series. Again, it will be linked at the end or below. I haven't decided yet. And I ended up giving that book a 3.5 star just because I didn't really enjoy the way that the second chance romance went. It was kind of like this enemies to lovers and the secret pining that Dom, the main character, had but never really like addressed. To me it kind of came off weird, and yeah, it just wasn't giving me the feels. But also, I felt there was too many sex scenes. That was another thing. But it was still an enjoyable read. I still, you know, it's a long book. It's like a 460-page book. And I still read all of it. So it wasn't like the worst book that I've ever read. It just, I don't think it was for me. And I actually would look forward to reading something else by J.L. Seegars. So maybe I know that she has another book called Revive Me. And it's written in parts, which I'll bring up this author later. So yeah, just an average read for me. And then also the next book I read in this series, I read Go Deep by Rosie Adams, and that was a really fun read. I gave that a 4. Again, I don't know, just like the way that they were just instantly like heavily attracted to one another, even though they've been friends for like the longest of time. It just kind of threw me off. And that one was a really short read. It was a novella. It was 131 pages, but still really fun. Really enjoyed the banter between the characters. Expect to see more Rosie Adams on my channel. Okay. And then the next book I read in that, you know, indie romance video was Vibrations by Casey Mills. That one was, it was okay. I gave it a 3. 3 is like average for me. It wasn't like I can't do not finish it. It wasn't like something that I just wanted to put down, but it definitely wasn't like a story that wowed me. And again, I feel like it was just a storyline, and maybe I just need to read something else by this author, and this particular book wasn't for me. If you want to get exactly what these books are about, again, my video will be linked below. I talk about what the book's about, how I felt about them, and all that stuff. But these are just quick wrap-ups of those particular books. And then the last 2 books what that I think was my least favorite that I read within the series was A Worthy Love by Ibi Valdez, which another one that I feel like the storyline just wasn't for me. Really wasn't for me. Like, I could not get through it. And then the second one was Luca, and I just did not I didn't like Luca. I really didn't. That was probably my least favorite. And yeah, it just wasn't for me. I know y'all love the cover. I think it's the cover that's really like draws people in, but the actual content within the book itself, baby, it was not for me. Again, if you want to get exactly what these books are about, watch my video. Okay, and then another book that I read this month that has a dedicated video is Open Water by Caleb Azumah Nelson. And that was my 5-star read for this month. I loved that book, and I think it came into my life like really at an appropriate time, and I just loved the way that, you know, falling in love was written. And it's so poetic, even though it's not written in verse, but it's so poetic, and so like, it's so many good quotables. And I think the aspect of the book that dealt with police brutality was handled with such care. And I feel like if you are a Black man, you would really enjoy this book. If you've ever read Heavy, it was giving me Heavy in terms of just the way that the author wrote the character with such vulnerability. And that we got how like his fears of falling in love, and his just like his insecurity, and you know, him kind of navigating this feeling, and you know, these new waters. I know the water metaphors because the book is called Open Water, but Open Water was such a fitting title. It's a really good book. It's a really short read, even though, so there's another video review that I agreed with. I think it's As Told by Kenya. Is that the name? Lily Reads. But yeah, Lily Reads is the name of the channel, I believe. But yeah, she talked about how the book is really short, but it's still very dense. And I completely agree. It's still quite a dense read, but it's so beautifully written, and it's so touching. And yeah, I just really enjoyed that book. 5-star, recommend. Read it if you haven't, okay? But be in a good space when you read it. So yeah. Okay, and then the next book this is actually the last book that I have on my list that has a dedicated review on this channel, and that is Sun Keep Rising by Kristen R. Lee. It is a young adult novel. I really enjoyed this one. This was a 4.5 for me. It deals with some themes that I normally am weary about reading, because a lot of the times I feel like it's not handled with care, but I felt like this particular author handled all these subjects with care, and really I think elegantly went through what the character was going through without it feeling like a trope, if I'm making sense. And yeah, I just really enjoyed the character Bianca. And while I wanted more from the ending, I still understood the ending, and I still feel like the message that the author was trying to send to the reader still got sent across. It's just for my own personal, as like a reader, for my own personal taste, I would have liked some storylines to be better wrapped up. Just, you know, because out of curiosity, I want to, you know how some of these storylines ended. But, you know, I have to remember that sometimes in writing, you're just getting a screenshot or like a glimpse into a moment in someone's life. And, you know, not every single thing that's going on in someone's life is going to be cleanly wrapped up by the end of whatever situation the author is choosing to highlight at that moment. So I felt like what the author was choosing to highlight, I felt like she got her message across within, you know, the span of the book. And the other storylines, it's up for discussion. But anyway, 4.5. If you want to see what this book is about and how I feel about it, I'll have that review linked below. Okay, and then these ones, okay, I just want to get through those because you can see that my full thoughts in these videos. But the next book I have, I actually listened to the audiobook. It's Snowflake by Nia Forrester. I've actually had this audiobook for a while. Snowflake is about the character Kaleem, or just Cal and Ash. I believe she goes by, it's Ashton, but she goes by Ash. And they go to Penn State together and they're neighbors, but they never really interacted with one another until senior year. There's this big snowstorm and they're both end up being home during the Thanksgiving holiday. And during that snowstorm and during that break, they meet and, you know, they have this, you know, just this time during the break of getting to know each other. And we learn about Kyle's family and his like familial issues, and then we learn about Ash and her familial issues, and they come to connect, and you know, it's a love story. They end up falling in love. And the reason why I've struggled to get through this book, one, because the narration on the audiobook is just not that great. So I did end up finishing the audiobook, but I kind of wish because it's so crazy. Sometimes there's some books that I wish I had just the physical book. There's some books I wish I had, you know, I'm fine with the ebook. And then there's some books where, like, if the audiobook is good, I'm cool with just the audiobook. But this one, I kind of wish I had the physical book because I had the audiobook and the ebook and they just weren't connecting with me. But as I was listening to it, I was like, this is a story I would like. It's not like, it's not an insta love. It's very much like a slow, tempered, like, we grow to like, we're attracted to each other, but we grow to love each other kind of storyline, which I really liked. And something about the ending, I wish it was more. Like the way that the book ended, I'm just like, oh, I wish there was something like storylines, especially with the family and the outside characters. I wish we got a little bit more detail or a little bit more like confronting those issues with the outside characters that we didn't get. It was very much concentrated on this love that was developing between Cal and Ash. But either way, for because like new adult college romances, I tend again not to like, but I actually really enjoyed this one, and I can see why a lot of people, when I hear a lot of people talk about Nia Forrester, a lot of them talk about Snowflake. I guess because also a lot of her books are like series, and this one is part of a series as well, but it's really nice and it works as a standalone. Even though there's some characters in there that are part of other universes of, you know, of what Nia Forrester writes. But I really enjoyed this one. I gave it a 3.5. I'm not going to lie. Maybe it would have been higher if I actually had read the book. So maybe I'll end up reading the book and that will change this rating. But it was a solid read. It just wasn't like, it just didn't wow me. But yeah. Okay. And then the next... So I read actually a lot when I was on vacation. So I ended up reading Love Belvin's Muted Hopelesness series. And actually these came out in 2020. So Muted Hopelesness is a 3-part series. I read all of them. So the first one is, I think, I'm letting y'all know now, My Muted Love, and then there's My Muted Recklessness, and then there's, I think, My Muted Hopelesness. Girl, I'll correct myself on the side or something like that. Yeah, on the side. But so this book follows Katori, who goes by Tori, and Ashton. So from like college into adulthood. So pretty much it's like Ashton, he owns this fast food burger company, and like Tori is this big famous world time boxer. But then also Ashton like writes on the side, like it's kind of like his passion, and he gets assigned to write a cover story about Tori and how she's like retiring from boxing. But Tori and Ashton know each other from college because they had like this fling his last semester of college and her freshman year of college, because they're 4 years apart. So pretty much we get a flashback into like how these two know each other, and you know, we go through them meeting each other in college and him kind of being a bully, but them getting to know each other, having like this heated like love, and then, you know, Ish hitting the fan because he has a girlfriend. Because they're not really together at the time, but he's this big star athlete and he's expected to play in the NFL. He's in this. He's expected that he's gonna, you know, marry his longtime college sweetheart. So it's just kind of hard for them to like break up because there's so many things like at stake for them to be together. Anyway, so Tori, she comes in, she puts a wrench on that plan, and they end up having this whirlwind romance. It hits the fan. They end up like breaking up, and they haven't spoke to each other in like over a decade. And then they come back into each other's lives, and they're both kind of like, why did you leave me? Why did, like, after all this ish happened, why did you never reach out? And at that point, you know, I'm going through all 3 books, but then because it's like, it starts off as this like enemies to lovers. That's what I'm going to call it. It's kind of like enemies to lovers in the beginning. And then the second book is, it's just smut. I don't even know what to call it. And then the third book is Second Chance, because then they reconcile everything that happened in the past 2 books. And it was just really good. Like, I run 2 other series by Love Belvin, and the way that she just like creates this universe and really like goes through the different stages of these people and like their love is just, she does it for me every time. She does it. Love Belvin is like one of my favorites. She does it for me. And I don't know what took me so long to do like read My Muted Love. I actually did the audiobook, and the audiobook is Chef's Kiss. It's excellent. The audiobook, just listen to the audiobook and that's it. Like the people that she chose for the audiobook are like, the narration, they capture the characters so well, in my opinion, like so well. Even the side characters and the way that they bring them to life, and they have like these, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah. I should have actually done this in my Black indie romance series, but like, I wanted to do popular Black indie romances, because I usually don't end up reading popular Black indie romances. I just end up reading, I don't know, whatever I want. I'm actually in the middle of reading the Ezra series, and I'm not particularly enjoying it just because I can't get past the fact that he's a priest. So yeah. And maybe I would like it if it had been an audiobook, because this audiobook is good. But yeah, I read that. I loved it. Yeah, just if you haven't read it, if you haven't got the audiobook, just go get the audiobook and come back to me. Just go get the audiobook, come back to me if you are into Black indie romances. If you already read it, you probably feel, if you don't feel what I'm saying, like if you don't like it, I really want to know why you don't like it, because I was invested. I almost dropped it though, because in the beginning when Ash was barking at her, I was just all like, that's cheesy. Like, it was, nothing about that was cool. I'm like, you are a senior. But those who have been in college from your freshman year to your senior year, you be over it. Like, you don't be caring about people. You just be all like, okay, let me get this degree and be out of here. Like, I was just like, why are you barking at people at your whole age of probably 22, 23? It didn't make no sense. Okay, this is freshman behavior. But then also they said he was in a frat, so maybe he with the ish. No shade to my fraternity dudes, but y'all be, especially in college, a lot of y'all be on one. Okay. And then I'm sorry, I really got sidetracked by that. And that is where I'm so in. Those were 3 books, so it was 3-book series. So in total, again, I read 8 books for the month of January, and I'm gonna get into the books that I anticipate reading or finishing in the month of February. So, as you know, it's Black History Month, but also I only read people of color, aka Black people, on my channel anyways. So so I'm just letting y'all know that the content on my channel is not really going to change for the month of February. It's not going to be anything special. It's just going to be what it normally is. But I have in total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 books. So I anticipate reading 6 books this month. Definite 4 because I got them from the library and they need to get finished. So I have them sitting right here. And let me tell y'all what I anticipate reading. So let me just go from the top. So the first one I have is Pride by Ibi Zoboi. I think it's Ibi Zoboi. Or is it Ibi Zoboi? Okay, this is called Pride. It is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. And this one is based in Brooklyn. And it's about this girl. Her name is Zuri. And there's this family called the Darcy family, and they're well off. Like, they're doing very well, and they move in next door to Zuri's family. And pretty much Zuri's sister Janae starts talking to one of the brothers named Ansley, and then Zuri is like, you know, is is not getting along with the other brother Darius, but somehow they come to like fall for each other. But yeah, so it's a twist on Pride and Prejudice. And as you know, Pride and Prejudice, it deals with like class issues of gender. Yeah, so I'm excited to read this one. This is one I got from the library, so it's definitely gonna get read. Okay, this is another one I'm really excited for. I actually saw this book reviewed on the channel To Be Black and Loved. And first of all, I love this channel. All the book recommendations I end up reading. Yeah, favorite channel. Favorite channel. But it is My Government Means to Kill Me. And when he was discussing the book, I don't know why I thought it was a nonfiction, but it is, you know, based in true events. But this one follows the character Earl, or he calls himself Trey, and he's from Indianapolis, but he moves to New York. And in moving to New York, he like helps or he volunteers in like the hospice homes for AIDS patients, and through that he ends up joining the activist group ACT UP, and pretty much it's him like navigating the AIDS epidemic in New York. Yeah, so, and also, you know, Black gay man. I'm actually really excited to read this. I love the cover, and also it's a story that you don't get a lot of in fiction. Next one, this one was actually on my anticipated releases for 2023, which is probably going to be my last video, but either way, I have it linked below or in the end card. Either way, it's going to be linked somewhere in this video. If y'all, I be going through my head where I'm going to link stuff. So if you see the card, click the card. If you don't see it in the card, it's going to be at the end. And if it's not at the end, it's down below. It's in one of these 3 spaces. I'm sorry. Okay. So the next one is Daughter in Exile. So this is one of the books I had in my anticipated releases of 2023. And it was anticipated for January 31st. I'm actually filming this on January 31st. So I was surprised when I saw this in my library. But yeah, this one is about what is this character's name? Lola. So Lola lives in Senegal, but I believe she's Guyanese, and she meets this Marine that's like at the U.S. Embassy, and she goes with him to the United States, and she ends up, you know, being this illegal immigrant there and in the U.S. And it's following her in the U.S. during the 90s as an illegal immigrant. So yeah. And her mother, a high court judge in Ghana, disapproves of her choice, but nothing will stop Lola from boarding a plane for Armand in America. Yeah, so yeah, pretty much she goes following this man to America. Yeah, I'm excited to read this. I'm excited to let y'all know how this goes. Okay, and then this is my last one, is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. You know what? I keep seeing everybody read this book and love it. This keyword. I have not seen one person read this book and be like, I don't like this book. It's giving me like, you know how 7 Days in June was that one book that everybody was like, you have to read this book. And while I did like 7 Days in June, it wasn't like I didn't love it. It actually makes me want to go back and read her other books because I actually enjoy Tia Williams' writing. But now that I'm older, I wonder if I love it as much as I did then. Anyway, that's not the point. So before I let go, this is like a second chance romance. It's this Yasmin and I think it's Josiah. Yasmin and Josiah, they were married and now they're not married. And I think they have kids together. Yeah, so they couldn't save their marriage. Their marriage fell apart, but somehow they find each other always coming back into each other's lives, and they have like 2 kids together. So yeah, this is pretty much just a second chance romance. We're gonna see how this goes. I'm actually very nervous because I don't know, something about the book is just giving that it's not for me. But okay. And then these are 2 books that I'm in the middle of reading, but I just didn't finish in January, so I'm hoping to finish it in February. But the 4 books I just told you about, they're on the forefront. So if you don't see this at the end of the month, it's because I had to put them on the back burner. But I started reading Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson, and I've heard nothing but good things about this book. Nothing but good things about this book. And actually, it is, so far, what I'm reading, I'm really enjoying it. I just have to put it on the back burner because I have other books that I need to finish for this month. So, yeah. So, I might finish this month, but if one of these books actually don't end up being good, I'm just going to pick this back up and start reading it. But, yeah. If you don't know what Black Cake is about, it follows this brother and sister, and they haven't talked to each other for years because pretty much Betty had disconnected herself from the family because of an incident where she felt like she wasn't being accepted. But yeah, she hasn't talked to the family in years. But their mother, Eleanor, ends up dying, and they both end up going back to the house, meeting. And in her will, she asked that they listen to her audio that she made before she passed away, and finally come and sit together and eat this black cake that the mother is known for making from like the secret family recipe. So they're listening to her like tell the story about the family secrets that they have never known. So yeah, that's pretty much this book. So far so good. We're gonna see if I can finish it in February. Okay, and then the last book, this one might be a do not finish, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, I'm struggling with this book. This is Jane Igharo's The Sweetest Remedy. I actually took this with me on vacation because I thought I would read it. I did not read it. I read 4 other books, and this was not one of them. Yeah, but this one follows a girl named Hannah, and Hannah's father is Nigerian. Her mother is American. I think I said in a video that it's based in the UK. In another video. But anyway, so the father passes away, and in his will he asks that this pretty much she's an illegitimate child because she's a product of an affair that he had in the US. So he asked that she meets the rest of her siblings. So she goes to Nigeria, meets her other siblings, and pretty much finds out that her dad was this wealthy tycoon in Nigeria. And yeah, so she meets her family, the Jolades, and conflict ensues. It's just been really slow. I'm actually halfway through. I'm halfway through this book. If I push through, I can finish it. But I'm just like, what am I pushing through for? Like, what? I'm not really anticipating anything. There's the Lawrence, he's like the family friend. Like, her father adopted Lawrence after like the mother worked for the family and then she passed away. So her dad ended up taking Lawrence in, but then Hannah, when she gets to Nigeria, she ends up falling for Lawrence and they have this romance. Yeah, it's just I'm not into the romance. I'm not into anything about this book, but we're gonna see. This is my early opinion that I'm just not feeling it. And maybe you can see right here, I think Ties That Tether. Is Ties That Tether over here? Yeah, Ties That Tether is down here. But this is not my favorite I actually saw her. She has a third book out. I can't remember the name. So she has a third book out, and I saw it at the library, and I was just all like, I can barely get through the Serious Remedy. Why would I get her third book? But the cover, isn't this like the cutest cover you've ever seen? The cover is giving, but the inside's not so far. That's it. Okay, that's my TBR for February. Let me know what you guys are reading for February. I know a lot of people try to read Black authors for February. And I know back in the day it would be like, let's read our classic authors. Maybe I'll put one classic book in here because there's a couple like classic authors or classic books that I've been wanting to read, but I haven't. And y'all can't see them because I have more books down under my table. And I have some that I bought that I haven't read yet. So let me know if you want to hear, if you want me to like read some classic Black authors this month. But anyway, that is it for January, February. I'll probably put some clips in the beginning of how my January was and what I did in January. Because I be trying to do the vlogs, y'all, but I be forgetting. I be forgetting to record. And that's pretty much it. Like, I don't know how y'all do it. I've just be living my life and forgetting to record it. But yeah. So thank y'all for tuning in. Let me know what you're reading in February. Let me know what you've read in January because I love recommendations. I really do. I love it. And I'll see you guys in another video.